So with all that set up, what have we got today? We've got this Vauxhall Insignia. This is a 2017 model. And the customer complaint with this one is she was driving on the motorway and the vehicle cut out. So the customer ended up having to get the vehicle towed back, and we are now here to run our tests on the car. So let's get this one diagnosed and see what it needs. So with the ignition on in the vehicle, we're going to go to scan, and we may as well use the quick access function. So we'll just do a VIN scan and see if it's capable of picking up this Vauxhall. So it just basically, because a lot of these are shared, it just needs to select Opel, go into quick access, and obviously, as the name suggests, quick access means it'll get you there quicker. So that's us on the main page, and we're going to perform again a high-speed scan, see what fault codes we've got. I bet we've got low fuel pressure or missing communication with the fuel pump control module, but I might be wrong. It's good to have a guess to keep it fun. So we're just going to perform a high-speed scan just now. It's scanning really easily. You can see ECM has got 2 fault codes, electronic brake control module's got 2, body control module's got a couple as well. So we'll go into ECM and look at that. Lost communication with fuel pump driver module, just as we expected. So I believe the fuel pump driver module is in the boot of this car. Not too sure what engine it is, but we'll just click on whatever one. We'll go into Euro 6, whatever it is. So we're going to read fault code again. And the reason we've got that fuel pressure sensor fault code stored is because there's no fuel pressure. The reason there's no fuel pressure is because we've got no communication with the fuel pump control module. So the easiest way to deal with this is you can fire up a wiring diagram, that's one thing, which we'll probably need to do to check all the inputs. And we can obviously do a visual. So we will go into the boot and see if there's anything visually wrong. If there's nothing visually wrong, we'll dig up a wiring diagram and we'll check the inputs, power, ground, network. Hopefully there's nothing visually wrong, but that is what we're dealing with right now. Lost communication with the fuel pump driver control. So we'll not clear that fault code, and what we'll do is we'll go into the boot. So we've located this monstrosity of a thing. Just checking I had that mic on there. It is indeed not in the boot, but we can access the wiring there if we want to check the wiring. After it goes through that grommet, there's only about that much a wire, there's not a lot. So I'll show you where this is located. And it is not the easiest bit to get to be honest. But if we go under here, I'll try my best here to get a capture of this. But that is a fuel pump control module right there. Now, I hear you say, why would that be under the vehicle and not in the vehicle like the Astras that I've done before? I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't seem such a bad idea to keep it in a dry environment, but I suppose if we keep it in the boot, that means it's going to have a longer lifespan, and we don't really want that. We want to get as much parts out of people as possible. So it's a stupid idea. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to get a wiring diagram brought up for this, and we're going to be testing the wiring at this point. Now obviously you can get a break from where it goes through there to the actual plug, but just for the purposes of this video, I'm going to quickly go through the wiring with you at that point, just because it's easier to film. And then I'll check the wiring down at the actual ECU itself. But for now, we're just going to be checking the wiring there. So let's do it. So we're set up here in the back of the car. This is just an easier bit to get access to show it on camera, but all the tests will be done at the plug as well, just to confirm that. So I'll show you what we're dealing with here. So on this red and purple, that's alive. On this one right here, this is alive as well, which is a violet and grey. That's protected with a 5 amp fuse, and the red and violet is protected by a 20 amp fuse. So you can see the difference of the actual wiring thickness and the current that's flowing through it. Obviously the lower amperage fuse is being protected by the violet and grey. Sorry, the violet and grey wire is being protected by the 5 amp fuse. And then right here, if we've got a twisted pair here, this is a brown and blue tracer. And we've also got a white wire. That's can high, can low. So that's pretty much all we've got, apart, well, going into the module, more or less. And we'll obviously need to check our grounds because it's grounded obviously underneath. But all we really need to do, to be honest, is check the powers up here and check the network with the scope. If they're all good, like I says, I'll go underneath and do the necessary tests at the plug just to confirm that we've not got an open circuit from this point going under to the actual driver. If that's all good, then we can obviously condemn this fuel pump driver module. So we're already attached to the violet and red wire, which is our main feed. So if we go and connect that, you can see that we've got battery voltage. But like I said, you always want to load test it with a decent load test, so a bulb. Always use the H7, depending obviously on what circuit it's on. You need to be careful as well. So we'll connect up the H7 and make sure that we actually have flow, because remember, voltage is only the push and current's the actual flow itself. So you can have the push but not have the current and not actually have the flow. So what we're going to do is just very carefully, without dropping the bulb, just connect that up, and that bulb should light up brightly. So if we just push that in, and our bulb doesn't light up brightly. So we always make mistakes, so you always need to be 100% sure you've got a good ground, because we did not. So basically we had our ground down there and it wasn't on the actual bolt going onto the actual frame itself. So you can see it's just arcing there. So if we give that a wee wiggle, you can see our bulb lights up nice and brightly. So just keep an eye out on that and don't make that same mistake that I did. So we just need to connect up to the other wires. We'll need to turn the ignition on for the violet and grey, and then we'll just connect up the scope and do the network. Obviously you want to be careful what you're attaching to the vehicle circuit. Using OE schematics, we could confirm that this bulb is suitable and it wouldn't cause any damage to any control modules. So just be careful that you don't hook up something that's going to cause any damage. As you can see, this is just a 5 amp bulb. You just want to be careful with what you're actually attaching to a circuit and know what you're attaching it to. So we have turned on our ignition, and if you just follow me back to the vehicle, we can tap into that violet and grey wire. Now we know that this is an ignition feed, so if we back probe into that very carefully and get a decent ground, you can see the bulb lights up really bright. So we know that those wires are good. We know that the main feed going to the pump is good, or going to that connection block is good. So all we need to do now is test these network wires, which again, pretty simple. If you've got a scope, connect it and test them there. If you haven't got a scope, then you're going to need to rely on the multimeter, but I would always advise having a scope to test networks. So basically, what I'm using here, the back probe into this, these are actually really expensive. These are about 70 quid just for the two of them. Actually, I believe they were a bit more, but these are actually really good. They don't cause any major damage to the wire like some piercing probes will do. But we always put a wee bit of sort of nail varnish over it anyway, just so it's protected once we've pierced into the insulation. So we'll just turn this ignition off for now, and we will come back to these once the scope is connected up. Now, the scope that I'm going to be using at the moment is the one that I've always had. It is just the Mixig. You can see there, ATO1104. So this is a automotive version. Basically, you can get the other one cheaper. You don't really need all the presets, but I've just bought it because I needed the presets at the time. I was just starting out with the oscilloscope and I did not have a clue. So that's why I've decided to buy the one with the preset values on it. But like I say, you don't really need it. So we'll get this connected up. And also, people have obviously got more higher end scopes than this, like the top down, or even, not even top down, it's the Pico scope and stuff like that. The reason I use this one is because it's handy. Don't need to set up a laptop, don't need to set up too much. It's just a case of bringing it in here, plugging it in with a cable, and then off you go. Obviously, it would be good if Top Don did send us their version, but like I said, I don't know if those two machines that I've got in there, I don't know if they're capable of running the scope. I think I would need to ask Top Don if that's possible, because I might even just buy the Top Don scope. But let's get this connected up and we will get back to you once we've done that. So with all that set up, so disaster struck here. I've damaged this customer's vehicle, but we'll finish off the video anyway with what we're doing and then we'll discuss that. So you can see here, the reason I'm using one lead is because that red scope lead currently isn't working the best. But you can see we've got a good network waveform there. And if we go into the other one, we've also got a good network waveform. But what happened with this vehicle when I was in the back of it is the parking brake disengaged, and in turn resulted in damaging the customer's bumper and obviously my van. But I would rather the damage was on my van than a customer's vehicle, because that is just a van. So that has just put an absolute spin on this job. Always make sure you've got it in gear. Obviously there's nothing we could have really done. The fact that we were in the back of it for that full length of time, I don't know why that handbrake's just decided to go off. So I'm just definitely going to be putting wheel shocks under vehicles when we're working on sort of hills anyway. This is a wee bit of a sort of decline, so not good, really not good. So we're going to get a price for this fuel pump driver module, and we'll need to explain to the customer why there's now damage to her front bumper. So this will be fun. So we did get off to a good start, but unfortunately accidents happen and we've damaged the customer's bumper. It doesn't look too bad on camera, but it's bad enough. And you obviously need to mention that that's happened. You don't want to be going away and you end up getting a bad name for yourself. So you need to let people know that you've done it. You need to own up to it. Mistakes happen. It'll not be the first time. It's certainly not been the first time for me anyway. So we'll just need to carry on with the job, and we'll need to wait for that bill coming through to get that bumper repaired, and we'll need to pay for it. fortunately enough, the customer's understanding, but this is what happens in the real world. We make mistakes. So yeah, thought I would show that there. I could have cut that out, but what's the point really? So yeah, we've got a fuel pump driver module coming. It's on the way, so we'll return probably tomorrow to get that done, and this will solve all the issues that we're having. So the new fuel pump control module has arrived. This is direct from the dealer. Good thing about this one is you do not need to program this control module in, and just for added safety, so we don't have any mishaps like last time, we have decided to wheel chock both front and rear wheels just to be on the safe side, as we don't want the handbrake coming off again and going into our van. So we're not going to show this getting fitted. It's a fairly simple unit to fit, and I've already shown in the last video whereabouts that's located. So basically you've just got two 10mm and obviously a plug. So once that's off, fit the new one, plug in the scan tool, clear the fault codes, and the vehicle will run as long as you've done your diagnosis right. So now with the new fuel pump control module installed in the car, we could then plug in top-down Phoenix X-Link and do a rescan on the car. So we've just connected up to the car, and one thing I wanted to show you was this pin detection function. So we can start the pin detection, and this will obviously tell you what you've got going on at the OBD. So you can see that we've got battery voltage, the vehicle's running at the moment, so it is charging. You can see we've got a CAN networks, and if you look here, it tells you that OBD 6 and 14 is 500k, which is obviously the baud rate of the CAN network. So that's a new thing, whether it will help anybody or not, but if you ever wanted to check obviously the OBD outputs, that will do a pin detection on it, so pretty good. So now with the fault codes cleared, we can go back out and we can try and start this car. So foot on the clutch, it's out by gear. You can see she starts right up. Fuel level is reading accurate. We are complete. So unfortunately in this one, not everything went to plan. However, we did get the vehicle started by replacing that fuel pump control module, and the customer will inform us of the bill for repairing the bumper. The bumper doesn't look too bad on camera, but it is a lot worse in person. The customer did polish most of the white paint out, but I would say our van's got the worst of it. So, lesson learned, always use wheel chocks. This time it's cost me, and I'll not do it again. So, thanks for watching. As always, like, share and subscribe. If you can, follow us on TikTok. I'll leave all the links around about here. So continue supporting the channel. We'll continue putting up videos like this as well. Every day you make mistakes. This is just one of these ones that I've managed to catch on camera. So yeah, as always, the link for the top-down Phoenix X-Link will be in the description. If you are wanting to know about any tools that I've used in this video, just let me know and I will either send you a link or let you know where you can get them. So yep, thanks for watching and I'll see you on the next one.